Hello my lovelies, so this is Lizzie from From Lizi, and today I'm bringing you the Bee-utiful Mega-Pack, and I'm unboxing it here and I'm going to show you 3 cards that I've made from it. I haven't released too many Mega-Packs of recently, and that's just been because we've moved where we're operating from. We've now got really lovely office suites that we're packing all our orders in. I've now got my lovely craft studio, so the camera setup is a little bit different and I'm still adjusting to it and gradually moving over all of my crafty goodies from my home over here. So it's been a very exciting time over the past couple of months getting everything settled and in, but we are now getting fully organised, thankfully, and everything should be resuming business as usual. So the June card kit is up and available and it's out, and I wanted to release this mega pack, which is obviously gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful. I'm also releasing a mini pack, but I'm not focusing on that one in this video. I will try to endeavour to get a video done with that one. So I'm going to dig into this one and show you what we've got. So as always, they all come in a Ziploc bag to make sure that they're protected well whilst they're travelling, because some of these go literally to the other side of the world from us, to Australia and New Zealand. So in this mega pack there are stamps, dies, patterned papers, and then specialty cardstock. So you will need to introduce other bits and pieces, unlike the kits which work standalone. All they need is, generally speaking, a bit of adhesive and some foam tape and some inks. But this one you'll need to add your card bases. But anyway, so in this kit it's A4, which is ever so slightly longer and narrower than American and Canadian letter size. But you get Love from Lizi Golden Sun glitter cardstock, you get high gloss mirror gold cardstock, and you get a sheet of green leaf embossed paper. And then, as with all of the mega packs, you have the patterned paper stock, is 8 by 8, and you get 2 of each, 1 to use and 1 to keep. And there are some specialty sheets in here as well. I'm ever so sorry, I should put my teeth back in before I started to record this. So these first 2 that you've already seen there have got glitter overlay. This is a pearlescent sheet, which has got some little honeybees on. They're ever so sweet. This is really nice for this time of year, really cheerful and bright tones, which are perfect for summer. I'm just fishing out the rest of the specialty, and next up we've got some gold bees which are foiled onto a really pretty blush pink paper. And then the final 2 are these hexagons that are also in gold foil as well. So you've got 2 designs with glitter, 1 on a pearlescent, and then 2 on a with a foiling. But you get 2 sheets of each, so it's 10 sheets of specialty. And then you get this paper, which is like a really nice, quite bold pattern. Then you get a nice muted pattern. That's one of the things that I really like about this set, is that the papers, you get a really good mix of like a really busy pattern like this one, and then the next one that you'll come to will be like a really soft muted tone. So they work well together, then complement one another, and they're obviously all in this really cheerful summer palette. Here are the little beehives, and it's so cute. They remind me of Winnie the Pooh. So I didn't actually make with that paper, but I think if I did another one I would. And this is one of my favourite papers, and I did use this in a couple of the cards. But it's got like a very muted back printed soft sage green, and then it has this darker pattern printed on top. And then here you've got these honeybees on a sort of like a nice creamy colour. So they're all in 8 by 8 single-sided papers. You get a stamp set which has 5 stamps on it, and the sentiment is "Don't worry, be happy." You get a bumblebee, you get a fern, and then you get sort of like a little sprig of wildflowers, and then a larger flower by itself. And then it's a large die set that comes with this kit, and you've got this gorgeous honeybee, and that's approximately 2 inches by 3 inches, just to give you a rough idea. You've got the beehive, which is very intricate. I do use that on a card so you can see. And then there is a honey pot, and this is gorgeous. It's like a little hive, but it's ever so fine. It's a really detailed die, so you can make some really pretty back pieces for that. And then you've got a sentiment which says Queen Bee, and there's some little flowers either side, and the Queen is in italics, and then the bee is in quite a nice bold font. So that is the complete mega pack. So what I'm going to do now is jump in and make some cards. And I only made 3. I know I usually make 10, but I want to try to make this manageable so that I can keep making with the mega packs as we're going now. It's one of the reasons we wanted to come into the studio. So all I've done here is I've taken an American letter sized A2 sheet of cardstock, the Love from Lizi smooth cardstock, and I've split it lengthways to make a top folding card base. And here I'm just cutting another piece of that same card to make a card panel with, and then I use my bone folder in the gully just to trim off any excess. And here you'll see me cutting down some of the patterned paper, and instead of doing these at 5.5 and 4 1/4, I do them at 5 1/4 and 4. Sorry, that took a moment there. And then this card panel I reduce by 1/2 inch yet again, just so that I've got a really nice border to sit all the way around. And then having done that, I get my 3 hex dies, which did actually comprise as part of the March Love from Lizi card kit. And then after I've knocked them all out of the way, as I went to put the painter's tape down, I realigned them all up again, lay the tape down, and then I popped them through my Cuttlebug. I'm quite new to using the Cuttlebug. In my studio at home, I have a Big Shot, which I love and swear by, and this I'm still getting used to the fact that it's got an embossing folder underneath, and with my more intricate dies I feel like I have to shim it more often. It does obviously still work, it's just a learning curve. Anyhow, you've just seen me there cut out my my big queen bee. I did that on the reverse side of the mirror cardstock, and here I have in Versamark just stamped the sentiment saying don't worry, be happy, and I'm using my Love from Lizi Golden Crown embossing powder, which came as part of the May Love from Lizi card kit. And then I'm just using my heat tool to set this, and it does bring up a lovely shine. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm going to start doing some assembling. So I use my ATG gun on the reverse side of the patterned paper, which is ever so slightly smaller than the card base, yet larger than that panel, so that it just sits nicely on the inside there. And then I use my Scotch mounting tape, and I've got one of these enormous rolls, which is fantastic. It seems to be going on forever. And I really fill this in. As you can see here, I've gone in between all of the little hexes there, just to make sure that this is fully supported, so that if I decide to send it to somebody through the post, it's not going to collapse and squish. And then I just pop that panel right up on the centre, and then get my bee. I sort of bend the wings up a little bit. That's the lovely thing about the mirror cardstock, because it's got some really good body to it, so you can bend it and it will hold its shape a bit. And then I've used some glossy accents on the back just to sort of lay the bee across those hexes, and that's the first card. So it's really simple, quick and easy, but it's really, you know, very cute and quite effective. So here's card 2. I've just used the other half of that top scored card base, and now I'm just cutting out some glitter mirror cardstock. Again, I'm doing this in much the same way, in that I'm cutting panels to sit on top of the front of the card. Usually when I do my 10 cards 1 kit videos, I don't get to do this because I try to only use the cardstock that comes within the kit. And then here you'll see me trimming down some of the patterned paper, again ever so slightly smaller than the glitter cardstock. And I cut the queen bee out of the centre of the gold glitter, but the only reason I managed to get away with doing that is because I knew the patterned paper would be hiding it. So it was a bit of a waste to not want to do it. So I've just used my anti-static powder tool, and I've taken the bee from the stamp set with my Versamark, and I'm just twisting the bee around and stamping it. Now, the background paper here that I'm using is quite busy in itself, so it was quite difficult to see where I'd stamped. So I stamped a few down, and then I'm pouring over my embossing powder, making sure that I hadn't stamped any too close together, and then I heat set all of that. Once I'd finished putting the powder over where my thumb had brushed the embossing powder off. And then once I'd heat set all of those, I go back in with my stamp and my Versamark, and I fill in the gaps. And to be honest, they were pretty much just around the edges that it was a little bit empty. So I'll just continue working my way around, put on some more embossing powder, using the coffee filter there, which was a genius idea. I'm not sure who exactly it was I saw that did that, but it's brilliant. And I trimmed down this patterned paper a bit further because I ended up cutting it to be exactly the same size as the glitter cardstock, so that wouldn't have worked. And then I start layering things up, and it's at this point that I realised that that glitter queen bee would get a little bit lost, so I've used the waste from the previous card, and I'm just using my Memento Dewdrop in bamboo leaves and a little ink daub, just to sort of go around the edges just to soften them up a little bit because they were quite harsh white against that backdrop. And then I'm just using some little glue dots to attach those three together, and then use some glossy accents on the back of my queen bee sentiment die cut, and then attach that sort of in the middle over the top of those hexes. Give it a nice press to make sure it sticks, and then it's all about assembly. And I started to put some ATG on that and changed my mind. I put ATG then instead on to the patterned paper, which seemingly holds very well to the glitter cardstock. I do have a bit of trouble trying to get things to stick, so the ATG seems to be in for the win. And I put some mounting tape on the back of the glitter cardstock so that I could have some dimension. I wasn't sure how well the mounting tape would stick to the glitter cardstock, so that's why I put the dimension at the back of the card. It's probably also more stable. Then I and ah over whereabouts to place my my little queen bee sentiment, and because the background's so busy, I just wanted the sentiment and I left it at that. So it's a very simple card, but that's card number 2. Card number 3, I cut a sheet of A2 cardstock in half widthways and then scored it so that I've got a side fold card. And then fold it up, score it along the edge just to make sure it's got a nice crisp line to it. And then I choose some patterned paper, and this punchinella was some of my leftovers from my May card kit. The thing is, I never ever use all of my products from a kit, and I have all of these bags sitting here, so I really like it when I manage to find a way to be able to actually use some of these bits and pieces up. So I've just trimmed a little bit of that very subtle patterned paper, and here I've picked the hive die, and I'm just cutting this again out of my Love From Lizi white cardstock, and then I'm using a Copic marker in E37 just to flat colour it. If you've got brown cardstock or if you've got something that works, then obviously just go ahead and do that, but this only took a few seconds. And then once that was all fully coloured in, I then took my circle die. This is like a circle frame die, and then I cut it from the pattern paper. I also did it with a piece of the mirror cardstock, but after assembling I realised I didn't like it, so you see me change that in a moment. But I used my ATG just to attach down that patterned paper, and then I'm using my glossy accents on the reverse side of the punchinella. In my 10 cards 1 kit video for May, I discovered that the Xyron machine and punchinella do not mesh well. They were not happy with one another, so the glossy accents I think was the way forward for that. And it was at this point that I realised I didn't like that gold frame. It wasn't the right gold for the punchinella, so I took the pearlescent patterned paper that came in the Mega-Pack, and I cut the circle die again, and then I'm just using some double-sided tape on the back. You could use anything back here, no one will see it. And I just sort of went around all the edges to flatten them down. And then I used some Scotch mounting tape up on the back there, and removed all the backing paper, and then popped that down, slightly offset because I like the look of a circle being cut. I use my Spectrum Noir Sparkle Overlay on my hive just to give it a little bit of something something. And then I let that dry off briefly, and then I put it through my little Xyron sticker maker. Now after the punchinella escapades, I really went to town with my bone folder. Like I got into every nook and cranny with the corners. I was really wanted to make sure that this worked well because this die is ever so intricate. And then once I'd peeled it off the backing, I then laid it down onto my circle, making sure that all those tiny little spines were laid down nicely. I turn over and use the edge of the card base to trim off the side of that circle, And then here I'm using some Gathered Twigs Oxide ink to stamp my bee. And I was half tempted to keep the bees dancing down, but I actually quite like the look of one by itself. And then I went over the wings with the glossy accents, and because this isn't a waterproof ink, it actually bled into the glossy accents with the wings and it looked really good. So that's a little tip there. And then that's the end of card 3. So here are some still shots. I will be back very soon with another video. I do hope you've liked these. Let me know which of the 3 is your favourite. I'm pretty sure mine's the first. But until next time, thanks very much. Happy paper crafting. Bye!